Hi there. Today we talk to Amanda Whittaker. She is a wellness coach and she teaches people how to eat healthy with plant-based diet, as well as how to feel great with sustainable fitness routine. We talked about her personal reinvention journey, going from being a dancer to a lawyer to a mom and now being a wellness coach. And we really dived into the significance of maintaining a balanced approach to health and the role of social media in shaping the wellness narratives and what we need to be aware of. We also talked about what it means to create a set of tools that we can use to help ourselves through our transformation journey. And I cannot wait to bring this episode to you, so let's dive right in. Hello everyone, welcome back to Soft Power Project, and I have a beautiful guest today, Amanda Whittaker, and she's a wellness coach and she teaches people how to eat healthy with plant-based diet and also how to feel great with sustainable fitness routine. So hi Amanda.
Hello, Sherry. Thank you so much for having me.
So actually for the audience, this is our second time recording.
We had so much fun the first
Yeah.
time.
I know, but technology, but what can I say? So actually, this has given me a chance to hang out with you again. And so I'm really happy about that. So thank you so much for joining me so early in the morning for you. So I had so much fun talking to you last time. And I think one of the thing when I looked at your Instagram, which is at Elevated by Amanda, I think the one thing that keeps me kind of going back and I just feel so connected to you is your power of reinventing your life multiple times and that strength and the grace that you have to do that and just have so much respect for that. And you have a really interesting story. So I'm going to actually let you to share with the audience.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, where do I start? My journey has taken so many twists and turns, but in growing up, I was a dancer. I loved movement. I wanted to go to New York City and be an actress and be on the stage, and my family said absolutely no way. So I chose the next best city in my mind, and I came to
Mhm.
Boston and I went to school for broadcast journalism and advertising and studied really hard and then ended up going to law school. And during that whole time, I had kind of come away from movement to some extent. I worked in a gym, still worked out, but it wasn't the glue that was holding me together at that point. I kind of lost that. And then in law school, I found yoga. It was a 6 week hatha program, basic yoga. And I felt like I was coming home.
Mm.
It was a very stressful point in my life where everything was really intense. Law school was very intense. And that gave me, it helped me find that connection to movement again. So I took that and ran with it. I became a teacher. I practiced all the time. I started doing power yoga, graduated law school, started working as an attorney. And I think I shared with you last time, it got to I didn't like it. I loved law school, but practicing law was so not for me. There was just so much conflict. And I am more of a mediator
Hmm.
than choosing a side. I like being in the messy middle.
Hmm.
Um, and so I knew something was off. I knew that wasn't my path. So I was leaning into yoga. I used to joke that my superpower at the office was wearing my leggings underneath my suit so I can
Just rip
drop
it off.
into rip it off, go into yoga practice anytime, yoga power. And so I ended up going to a workshop one weekend, and we were asked what our intention was. And my intention was to more fully immerse myself in wellness, in movement, and feel good fitness. And I had to write down my blockage. And on another piece of paper, I wrote down my legal job. And we took those blockages and we burned them. And that was it. And then I went into the office on Monday, walked in, and I was laid off. So very quickly, everything changed again, and I had to pivot. And in that moment, I knew that was a sign. That was my out. That was the universe, God, whatever you believe in. That was its way, his way of giving me the push that I needed, the step I couldn't take for myself. So I dove in. I started teaching full time. I became a Lululemon ambassador. I led retreats all over the world. I just immersed myself in it. And, again, I mean, I've had so many moments of having to reinvent myself. So I don't know if you want me to keep going, but after
Yes.
I did that for years. I did that for
Mm,
3 years, and I have to
mm,
say, full-time teaching like that, just focusing on yoga teaching,
mhm,
I was burned out. It
mm,
was a lot. It took a lot of me to the point where I didn't even want to talk on the phone with my mom at all anymore because I had nothing left to give. It was just so much of me standing up there and teaching, giving. And we wanted to have kids, and I needed more stability. So I pivoted again. I went back to work full time as an analyst and a project manager in healthcare IT, which is very interesting. And I love that. And I still do that. I work full time as a project manager and an analyst, which I love. But then I had kids, and I felt like once again, I lost connection to myself. I was still teaching, but I lost the part of me that moved to feel good, to give back.
mhm,
And so a couple years after kids, I took a drastic step, and it wasn't in movement, it was in my hair. I decided that I was going to let my grays grow, and that was in
mm,
2019, right before COVID. And it was really scary, and it was something I never thought I would do, but I did it. And about a year after that is when that gave me so much confidence, Sherry, just
mhm,
that transition, that shift, that allowing and embracing,
mhm, mhm,
I felt like I could do anything in that moment. And that's when
mm,
I really got back on track with my own fitness journey. And I
mm,
prioritized myself, and I gave myself up using all of my knowledge. I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. I gave myself a
mm,
plan. I shifted things, and I made that part of my life big again. Yeah, I felt like in that moment I was becoming myself. Like I was taking all the little pieces of me who had felt like myself along the way, and just like here I am. I'm whole now.
mm. Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing. And there is actually so much I wanted to ask you just when you're describing. And yeah, like you said, I think in the process of reinventing yourself, you're finding yourself again and again. And it wasn't until really just letting your hair kind of growing, like becoming home again, right? And I think that process, I still find it just so incredible. And then, to be really honest, I color my hair. I have grays.
That's okay.
And, my friend, my really close friend, they know about this, and I often feel like, oh my goodness, I'm so self-conscious. Like I don't know if I am brave enough. I'm like giving myself like a year, like a specific year. It's like, okay, when I turn that age, I will let my real hair color grow. But I think I know what you mean because it's a true self, right? You just let yourself grow. And can you describe how that feel? Because time and time again, like you found yourself with yoga, you found yourself with becoming a fitness coach, you found yourself with just letting your hair turn gray. What is it like? Like really coming home to yourself?
Yeah, I think it takes many forms and shapes, right? Like depending on where you're at and what's coming up. But I do think that there's a period of time before you allow it where you
Mm,
just feel unaligned. Something
mm,
feels off, right?
right.
Something feels, you feel restless, you feel unhappy, you feel your energy is low. You can feel it. And a lot of times we blame, we blame things, whatever that thing is at the time, but a lot of times it's really just a matter of we're living out of alignment. There's some work we need to do inside. And so I feel like whenever I've gotten those nudges or like whenever I've felt like something is off, I have to sit with that, right? We have to sit with that and we have to figure out what it is. And maybe we don't know, but we try different things to address it. And I will say that when you do make some of those changes, like the hair, letting my hair grow was scary, but I committed. And I think that is the common thread with all of the kind of reinventions I've made over the years is I commit. I am going to do this. I am committed to this. I know it's not going to be easy. I know maybe it's simple, but it's not going to be easy. And I'm going to do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that, yeah, when you take that approach and then you take the step and you take the other step and then there's a step back, but you're like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
here. There is no option. This is what it is. You just keep finding the strength to take
Mm-hmm.
the next step. And then that momentum
Mm-hmm.
feels good because you're doing what you committed to do and it keeps you going.
Mm. Um, there's so much to unpack there. And also, I think what you're saying about committing, right? Committing to the change because there's a misalignment. And I'm really curious. I mean, did you have to struggle with that choice? Did you have to sit with it because you mentioned that you had to really sit with it? Was it a difficult time for you to really struggle with that, where you're kind of like, all right, I'm just gonna do it? So what was it like?
So yeah, that's a great question. For my hair, it wasn't an overnight thing. It it was years that I knew something was off, and I was trying for so long to get it the right color, to tone it the right way. It was a very long period of time that something fell off. Probably a year and a half maybe of leading up to that point, and but I finally got to that point and I was like, I'm done. I am just
Mm,
done with this. I'm done with it and I'm going to see how this goes. And like I said, I just in that moment I'm like, this is the last time. This is the last time I'm dyeing my hair. I knew it the day that I went. I just knew. I'm
mm,
like, this is the last time I'm doing this.
mm.
And I was very open about it. That's why I started this my Elevated by Amanda page. If you
Oh,
scroll way back to the beginning, it
right.
started as a documentation of my journey to gray hair. And the more I let it grow, the more it came out, the more beauty I saw there.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
it kept me going. It felt right. It felt right, even though it was hard, even though I knew there was judgment. My mother did not. Sorry, Mom, but at the beginning, you you did not agree. I think it triggered a lot of emotions in other people, seeing me let my hair grow out, and
Mm,
I had to I had to accept that. I couldn't let it affect me. That was their thought and their opinion, and I had to stand strong in my conviction and my path, and I did, and I'm proud of myself for for being able to do that because it's not
yeah.
always easy and a lot of women struggle with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like what you said, I think when we're becoming ourselves and coming home to ourselves, sometimes people don't like it, or
Mhm.
people around us that were used to kind of a version of us, they're triggered. And it's not
Yeah.
because it's a bad or a good thing, or it's malice. I think it's just it triggered them. And there's something about that, right? And how did you actually cope with that? Because I find that that was one of the hardest thing about reinventing yourself is actually when you have to set boundaries or you're living your true self and people that are around you, or maybe people who are really close to you, they're having some sort of reaction, and how do you cope with that and be okay with that?
I mean, that's where the yoga comes in. That's where all of the other you need, listen, we all need tools in our toolbox. We need tools in our
Mm,
toolbox, and you need a dozen of them, and you need to be able to pull
hmm
them out and use them for scenarios just like this. I did a lot of affirmations. I did a lot of yoga, a lot of meditation, a lot of journaling.
mm,
I had different tools to just keep my mind in the
mm,
right place. I think
mm,
affirmations are critical. I start every day reading affirmations, writing affirmations,
mm,
writing down my goals, reminding myself of my why, right? Like,
mm,
why did I do this? What was
right.
the catalyst for this?
Yeah.
And reminding yourself every day of your why is super important. With a gray hair journey, with a fitness journey, a nutrition journey,
Hmm.
you need to have that write it all over the place, write it on little sticky notes and put them everywhere,
Wow. Yeah.
um, so that you stay connected with it, because it is very, very easy to
Hmm.
forget or
Hmm.
to minimize
Yeah.
that because of the noise of the thoughts and the perceptions and judgments of others, for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. And I actually wanted to go back to something you were saying before, that you mentioned that something may seem really simple, but it's also very difficult. And I think it's the same thing with affirmation and journaling. It seems so simple, right? I'm just repeating words, but there are days where I just feel like I don't want to say it.
Mhm.
Maybe I just wake up with like a bit of an anxiety and I'm kind of repelling, like I don't want to say affirmation. And I don't know why, but it's like you said, it can be very simple, but but it can also be a really important thing and a difficult thing to do. And I'm just wondering, like, all these different tools that you have, has there ever been any tools that you have where you kind of have to talk yourself into it? Or have you kind of already tailored all these tools so that they're just really easy for you to access them?
It's a really good question. So something that I didn't share, but it is a huge part of who I am, is for 10 years I had massive panic attacks, anxiety, so much anxiety that it prevented me from doing things. I lost a friend because I couldn't get on a plane to fly to her wedding. I didn't fly for 10 years. It was really bad. And I had to do a drive. So my parents live 3.5 hours from where I live, and it was a 3.5 hour drive. And there was a section of the drive, which is 30 miles with no exit. And
Mm,
that every time I had to do that drive, it triggered. That was one of the big triggers for me. Transportation, where
mm,
I felt stuck, was a big trigger. And
mm,
I did work with, oh, we say I reinvented myself, and I did, but I had help, right? We all need help. Like, I had a lot of doctors and therapists that I worked with during that time to help me, and they helped me craft my toolbox. And
mm.
so I don't think with any one thing it's the same toolbox. It might be different
Yeah,
things.
right.
But at that time I had a lot of practice with that. And that was the time when I didn't want to use my toolbox. It would have been so much easier to just let the panic take over, you know, but I would have things I would do, or I would chew a piece of gum and
Mm,
watch the clock, and I could chew that piece of gum for 3 minutes. And then when 3 minutes went by, I could spit it out. Then I would wait 2 minutes and chew another piece of gum. There was a lot of mental gymnastics that
mm,
I used as tools at that time. Very, very different from the affirmation. So I guess my point is that toolbox might not be static, right? It
mm-hmm,
might shift and change. And if a tool isn't working, if affirmations aren't working, you have the next thing that you can reach in and grab and try to use.
mm,
I just put out, it's free right now on my website, but a 60-second reset list. And that's
mm,
essentially the toolbox that I use now. It's all these different strategies, different things that you can do very quickly to recenter yourself, to, manage a tough moment, let's say,
Mm,
whether that's self-doubt, whether it's panic, whether it's fear, whether it's, I'm on this path and I don't want to do this anymore. All different strategies, ranging from mental things to breath work
mhm.
to physical things, because at any moment an affirmation is great 80% of the time. If you can do them, they're great. But you're right, some mornings you're like, that's not it today. That affirmation isn't going to cut it. I need something else.
Yeah, it's like I don't feel abundance. I can't
Yeah.
feel abundance. No, but you mentioned something, and that was one of the things that I picked up from our last conversation. You mentioned that the next best thing. And I really love that about you, and that is the kind of the message that you put out and to your community is that it's okay if you don't want it to do A, you can do the best thing. And I really love that mentality that you have because I think that's why you're such an amazing fitness and health coach. And by the way, I joined your 14-day challenge, the protein challenge. And this is the first challenge I've ever done on, social media. And I was just curious, but I love that you just give really useful information, but you give a lot of room and a lot of grace for anyone to kind of play with it. So, yeah, just I think, walk me through or just kind of share with the audience what makes your fitness or your wellness routine different from
Yeah.
a gazillion
Oh my
wellness
gosh.
coaches out there?
There's so much out there, and I've done it all. And I think what I found is when we go into these extremes, I did P90X. I've done all of the things. And I think many programs are either too restrictive or too prescriptive. It's
Mm,
either you have to stop doing everything you love. I read these things like 5 things I had to give up to reach my fitness goals. And I just cringe a little on the inside because life is it's too short to feel like you have to give up completely everything that you love. So that's one end of it. And then I think the other side of it, and I've had friends who've worked with coaches and they give up because they're like, it was just too much. It was just too much for me. I couldn't do the 40-minute workout, the 45-minute work. I couldn't follow this strict meal plan. And it was another thing in life that created pressure and
hmm
stress. And as busy women, busy moms, we have enough of that. We have
Yeah.
enough of that. So if somebody has a program that's 40 minutes a day and you can't fit that 40 minutes in, you're not going to do it. And then you're going to feel bad about yourself or guilty that you're not doing it. And it just spirals from there. So I work with women one on one. One on one, we sit down, we dig into everything. What does your day look like? What does your life look like? What are your preferences? What kind of workouts do you enjoy? What kind of workouts do you not enjoy? All of it. We
Right.
cover everything. And then I work with you to create a plan. So my
Mm,
method, my fitness method, is a combination of yoga plus
hmm
Pilates and bar inspired moves and
hmm
weight. So you're
hmm
getting everything you need. You're getting your strengthening, your mobility, your flexibility, the breathing, the mental piece. It's all wrapped up into one.
hmm
And depending on the women, some women hear yoga. They're like, "No, I don't like yoga." I'm like, "Give it a chance. Give it a chance. I promise."
Yep.
We can make it whatever you want. If you don't want to flow, we don't have to flow. So I have so many ways and so many things to share to craft these
Mm,
flows for women in a way that serve them and feel good, fit into their day. We talk about timing. How many minutes do you have a day? Do you have 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes at lunch? And we can work with that. So I just help
hmm
them craft plans that actually work for them.
hmm
A lot of times women come to me and their main goal isn't to lose weight. Their main goal is
mm,
to get stronger because they feel their muscles weakening as they get older.
right.
They feel the bloat, they feel
hmm
uncomfortable. And so we address all of it very slowly, but what ends up happening, and even those women whose priority isn't to lose weight, a lot of times they end up losing weight, not even
Mm,
focusing on it, because they're creating these shifts and these healthy habits that really serve them and make their body feel good, and it just happens naturally. So
hmm
it's not stressful. It's, it's a method of wellness that is holistic, that is meant to serve you for the long term and the long run. And my goal is to educate and equip women so that they know down the road, even when they're not working with me, oh, I'm feeling a certain way. Here's the lever that I need to pull to change
hmm
that, to feel better for myself.
hmm hmm I that is so incredibly important. And then what you said about, we have enough stress. And women feel we have enough guilt that we put on ourselves. And I do feel like with so many wellness information that's on social media, and of course, it's often in the form of a very short form, a 90-second video. It's it's really difficult to be holistic, I feel like. Especially, I know this is a little bit more like a creator talk, but I think you understand it's like, creating these videos, you're told that you have to create a hook or,
Yes,
right,
yes,
creating something that's
yeah,
sensationalized or something that's a, ooh, spook you, right? But,
yeah.
but wellness is all about the holistic, actually sustainable, right? It's about how do you do this for a really long period of time, even when you're not working with the coach. And I think that's so incredibly important, but actually becoming really rare to
Mhm.
find in this space.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. It is such a balance when you're creating content, because this is how you build your audience, and I want to reach the women who would benefit from my content and my teachings and what I have to offer. And it's so hard to do that without doing what these gurus say you have to do, creating hooks, creating
Yeah.
drama, and it goes against the message that you're
Yes.
ultimately trying to share.
Yes.
And that's, yeah, a big challenge with social media today, is how do you remain
Mm-hmm.
authentic? How do you remain
Mm-hmm.
true to yourself and share what you need to share, but also do enough to, tell the algorithm that your content is worth sharing further. And it's a little bit of a game that you have to play, and, to get that algorithm to
Mm.
help you out.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like 100%. And I have to say though, looking at your feed, and actually I really feel like I'm an outsider. I'm like nowhere near where you're at. I'm so new to the social media game. And, for me, before building Soft Power Project, like I only build it for clients. I do B2B content marketing. It's so different. When you build it for clients, it's so different. There's a strategy. You just follow the strategy and it's not personal. But I think
Yeah.
building something for yourself, you're actually revealing my vulnerability, and that's so much harder. But looking at how you engage with your community, I think you're truly building a community with social media. And that's incredible because I think a lot of the gurus are doing now, they're building media
Yeah.
platform as opposed to the
Yeah.
community. But I think I think that's why I really enjoy watching your content because it's the feeling of just having grace for yourself. Don't push yourself. Having that flexibility. It's about sustainability. And that's really what I loved about it. And you're right. I think the whole idea of extreme, right? And that's something I think I really hope that listeners or everyone who consumed even a little bit of social media content to be a little bit careful of is
Mm.
that it's a mentality that's almost everywhere. I mean, do you actually have any kind of your personal habit of consuming social media or any kind of like wellness information online?
Mhm. Yeah. So, first of all, extremes, and I see it all over social media. I see it all over social media, and I've been there in the point of, you know, doing nothing and feeling very overweight and uncomfortable in my body, and then doing way too much and being on the other side of that, which was dangerous too. And I understand both. I understand how they each happen. I try to help women get out of that kind of extreme thinking, this all or nothing. I have to be all in or not at all.
Right.
And I think social media, uh, you see it sometimes, even if it's not talked about, you can see it in messaging, you can
Mm-hmm.
see it in people, you can see it. And I would just caution everyone to be very mindful when you're taking in that content. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot more to it. There's a lot more behind the scenes that you're not seeing. Social media
Mm-hmm.
is a snippet, it's a very intentional clip. Things get edited, things get taken out, things get altered, and just be very mindful when you take it in. I find myself facing some of it. There have been accounts that I've unfollowed because
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't let it in anymore. It was triggering me and I had to just quiet it
Mm-hmm.
down. I think anytime you feel really triggered by something, unfollow it, just stop going there. Stop even putting yourself up against that.
Mm-hmm.
I scroll now for business. I look around, I see what's going on. I see sometimes recently I saw Maddie Wellness, who I love. I'm totally giving him a shout out here, but he cooked a really fun meal. He
Mm-hmm.
cooked like these sweet potato buns. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've never done that before, but I shared his content and I talked about it in a reel. And that
Mm-hmm.
was super fun. So every once in a while, I'll see something that I want to share. I will post other people's stuff on my story. I think there's some really helpful stuff out there. Some great people sharing really great things, and I'm inspired by them. I reach out to them and connect with them. I share their stuff too because I want to support them. I feel like I am. Thank you for noticing, but I am trying to build a community, and that's people who want my offering and who value my content, and it's other wellness coaches like me who I
Mm-hmm.
want to support and lift up and share things with. So yeah, it can be very challenging taking in social media and figuring out the best way to use it and think about it and let it drive you. So yeah, I would just say be mindful
Mm-hmm.
of that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that tip about, yeah, if certain content is really triggering you, unfollow. Like no question asked. I think that's just the first thing you do. You don't even need to feel bad about it. I used to feel
Yeah.
bad about it,
Yeah. Yes,
right? I don't know
it's that
why.
guilt. I hear you. Yeah, same.
Yeah. And now I'm just like, okay, no, unfollow, unfollowed. And it's easy as that.
Yes, you have to do it. Yeah, I agree. I didn't do it for a long time. And then I'm like, what am I doing? I don't need to see that. This is great for somebody else, but for
Yes,
me, it is not helping me right now. And I think that's the one time that it's totally, like you said, fine. Unfollow, unfollow for your
exactly.
health, your wellness. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to talk about this whole eating healthy and you're plant-based. Actually, you've been like vegan for a very long time, right?
So I haven't eaten meat. I gave up red meat and hot dogs, red meat burgers. I don't know. When I was like 9 years old, I didn't like it and I refused to eat it. I ate chicken until I was 17 and then I
Mm,
gave up. So that was all meat. And then I read a book when I was around, I think I was 23 or 24, and
mm,
that's when I gave up seafood. So
mm,
now I'm 45, so it's been 20 years since I've had any kind of animal product. I do eat eggs. I don't eat a ton of dairy, but I will have cheese if it's around. So I'm not completely vegan, but I am vegetarian and I don't eat anything where an animal had to be sacrificed
mm-hmm,
for me to
mm-hmm,
eat. So, but that's just and my whole family is not like this. My daughter is vegetarian, my husband is a meatitarian, and it's fine. So no judgment. I support whatever anybody wants to eat. It's just my way. And because I've been vegetarian for so long, I really had to be intentional about protein. And that
Mm,
has amped up for me in the past five
mm,
years, just getting very much more intentional about protein. And I've learned a lot about all the different kinds of protein out there. It's one of my favorite areas of study is plant-based protein, fiber, nutrition
mm,
for people who don't want to eat the meat. And you can
mm.
absolutely have a very healthy diet not eating animal products. And I help a lot of women with that, or even women who eat meat, but they want to incorporate more plant-based. They are watching their sodium. I have a friend who had heart issues, and so plant-based is great. It's such a phenomenal way to create a healthy diet if you have some other factors going on too.
No, I think that's actually I think more and more people are kind of they're not meat lovers, but they just don't know what to eat when it comes
Mhm.
to plant-based product. They're still eating meat, but they can actually have make a choice not to eat meat. And I think I find myself in that positions more and more. I never loved meat, but I will have it because my family would have it or friends would have it. So, but then I love that when you talked about, the last time when we did our first recording, you talked about, yeah, your husband, he eats meats and I think your son also eat meats. But you and your daughter are both vegan and vegetarian, but you're still able to make a very wholesome meal in a very easy way to accommodate
Oh yeah.
everyone.
Oh yeah.
And still, you're taking that stress out of it. And I really loved it. I think you were describing the dinner that you had the day before. I don't know if you remember exactly what you made, but I loved what you shared because it seems
Yeah,
so easy but wholesome.
it's so easy. This is our life. We eat four different meals, and it's just a way of life. But the way that we cook, I am not a chef. Some of these Instagram accounts that I follow where they create these beautiful dishes, I am so impressed and I bow to you. And if you want to make that for me, I will eat it. But
Yes.
I just can't do it. So what I do is very, very simple. Nothing I make takes over 10 minutes max. Most of the time I can make dinner in 8 minutes for everybody. My husband preps his own food. But a lot of times on the weekends we'll barbecue. So we'll get sweet potatoes, carrots. He'll get some meat, so he grills the meats on the grill. We'll do corn, potatoes carrots on the grill. I'll roast the sweet potatoes, and then in the air fryer, I'll put in my vegetarian protein and maybe scramble some eggs. And that's it. And between it all, we make a plate for everybody. There's a little
Wow.
something for everybody. And then I have leftovers to put in my bowl for the next day. But I do a lot of bowl style meals. For
Mm,
me, there's not a plate with different segments. It's a bowl. And I have my greens in there, some kind of healthy starch, veggies, and protein, and that's it. And those pieces will change, like the protein might change from day to day, but that's always what it consists of. I'm a big fan of flexibility, but for me personally, I eat the same things almost
hmm
every day, the same way of eating, and
hmm
it takes a lot of the stress out of it. I can flavor with different sauces, I can use a different protein, different veggies, but just knowing that rhythm and how the food feels in my body is is
hmm
really helpful when you're trying to maintain or if you're trying to make changes in your body. It's an easy way to know what you're getting and not have to track.
Right.
But yeah, when we cook like that little pieces, it's easy for everybody to have something that they like, and then we just supplement with the other pieces.
Mm, yeah. No, I loved it because it takes the stress out of it and you're eating very healthy whole foods and you're actually just tasting what the food actually tastes like, nothing processed. And I think one of the things that's really important about nutritious food is that, when we're going through something really stressful, and especially I think, a lot of, because I wanted to, I'm kind of building a program to help women to kind of help them through the reinvention process. And I think that, that's a really difficult process and it comes with a lot of emotion, but really good nutritious food would help that process to be a lot easier. And I mean, I tested both because, when I was going through a lot, ultimately I wanted to grab something processed because it's just so much easier. It's sweet, or maybe it's really salty, but then I would feel like crap the
Hmm.
next day.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I eat something healthy, then actually I would just naturally feel a little bit more balanced. Even though there are still emotion, but you can feel more balanced. And I'm sure that is kind of one of the biggest reason why you're a strong advocate to, really healthy diet, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure, for sure. And you mentioned the snacking. I talk a lot about this on my page, like the emotional eating. Our emotions are so powerful, and I call it like what my emotions want to eat, if I let my emotions eat, because they would do exactly
Mm-hmm.
that. They would choose the comfort or the sweet or that thing that just in the moment makes you feel better when ultimately it makes you feel so much worse. But a big part of that is a lot of women just aren't eating enough, really. A lot of women I work with, it's so restrictive and their bodies are just starving, and that makes it harder in those emotional moments to be able to regulate it. So if you can get your nutrition on track 80% of the time, if you can make those good choices and nourish and fuel and add to
Mm-hmm.
your plate or your bowl instead of taking away from it, it helps
Mm-hmm.
you be stronger and steadier so that you don't give in to those emotional tugs sometimes. So you're right. I think the nutrition is a big piece of that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like, again, like you said, it's about being holistic and it's about sustainability. And I still remember when I asked you the question about how do you define soft power, you gave an
Mm,
amazing, absolutely the most amazing answer.
I have it.
Um, do
I
you
know.
have it?
I do. I had it pulled up because I was like, she's gonna ask me. I know she's gonna ask me.
Do you mind share it again?
Yeah, no, of course. It's so interesting. So I will have a piece of content on this soon. I wanted to ask you and hope you didn't mind if I used
Of
this in my content.
course not. Of course not.
But when we first connected and I started listening to your podcast, I knew this question was coming, and Sherry, this just exploring this idea of soft power for me was transformative. Like I learned so much about myself just thinking through journaling, what does this mean for me? And so I
Mm,
so appreciate this question. I think it's a fabulous question that you ask your guests. I think if you really take the time to dig into
oh,
this, you can learn a lot about yourself. So I really appreciate it. Okay, so for me,
oh.
this is what I came up with. Soft
Mhm,
power is feminine energy with a backbone. It's magnetic and authentic. It's the deep knowing that you can be strong and flexible. It bends without breaking. You can trust your intuition and hold your boundaries. Soft power is showing up grounded, real, whole, and unapologetically you. It comes from knowing who you are, where you are, what matters, and how to stay in alignment with it all.
mm. Oh, I love that. I love it so much. I love it so much. And then the first sentence just really hit me. It's the feminine energy with the backbone, right? This is kind of what I called you in the message in DM. I'm just like, you're the soft power goddess because last time you shared this with me, and I'm just like, wait a second, that's you. That's everything we talked about. You're reinventing yourself and for you to connect with your audience, you're being completely authentic and you know how to hold boundaries. And also at the same time, you're just, yeah, you know exactly who you are. And so true to, and also connecting with the audience and helping the audience to also hold the grace for themselves and then reinvent themselves with amazing fitness and the wellness routine, right? And that's you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. That is very, very kind. But I do try. This is, you know, me at my core. Things shift, we change, we grow, and that's why I think it's important to remember like who we are, where we are, because
Mm,
that's
mm,
always shifting, it's always changing. But I think
yeah.
like who you are at your core is the
Mm,
common thread. You know, that's the thread that you'll see through your life.
yeah. 100%. And I have to say, I'm 42 now, so we're at a very similar stage in life. I feel like the older we get, the more beautiful it is. I don't know. It's
Mm,
like, you know, when I was in my early 30s, I would be like 40. That's so
yeah.
old. But now in my 40s, I'm just like, I don't know what's age. Like, what's
Yeah.
old? What's young?
Yeah.
And I feel like there's still so much more that we can explore and we can grow, evolved into. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem like it's not linear, right? It's not static.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I wish we could go back and give our 20-year-old selves the kind of confidence that we feel now. I know you feel that too. It's the more you go
Mm-hmm.
through, the more you rebuild, the more you reinvent, the more confident you become in who you
Mm-hmm.
are. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to share that with all of the other younger women out there who might be struggling. You know, it gets better. It does. I think our 40s
Yeah.
for me has been the best.
Yeah, me too. I actually feel like I am at the, the healthiest now compared to in my 20s because then again 20s I was eating a lot of different things I didn't really care and I thought, I was young, so it didn't matter. But now I'm more consciously, I'm trying to consume things that are healthy for me and I think mentally I'm definitely way healthier at this point in my life. And I mean, I think the society shifted so much and now we have AI. Sometimes I wonder, oh my God, like, I don't know how the younger generation is going to cope with it.
You know, and I feel like that's what our parents thought about us too, though,
Yeah.
right? I think every generation looks at what's happening and panics. Where are we
Yeah.
going? And
Yeah.
it always works out okay. Hopefully
Mm,
we use it in a way that serves us and helps us grow and not as a replacement for human thought and
hmm.
human interaction, human connection.
Yeah.
I hope we get it, you know. I hope that
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
younger generations get that
Yeah.
and have that mentality too. But you
Hmm.
know, it keeps unfolding. Things just keep unfolding, and you can't if anything, I feel like we've seen you can't resist it, right? It's happening. That technology is happening, and we have to find
Mm,
ways to embrace it, leverage it, care for it, nurture it, and use it right.
mm. Yeah. 100%. I mean, that can be a topic on its own, just wellness and AI. How do you
Yeah,
balance it all?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you so much today. Like, I know this is the second time. I felt really bad the first time around because our recording, the quality of the recording was not great. But so again, I had to ask you to do this again because I did not want it to miss it. And I think this is so fun. And feel free to use the content, the soft power definition that you came up with. Absolutely love you to share that. And I think, yeah, and I think this is a beautiful marriage of, the soft power and the wellness and the fitness and also healthy diet. It's holistic. And I mean, is there anything that you wanted to share with the audience? Yeah. So this is your platform. Is there anything you wanted to share with them? Is there
Yeah,
anything
you're
exciting coming up?
yeah. Oh my gosh. I have so much in the works. For a while, I was just offering my one-to-one 12-week program, but I have a few other offerings that I will be putting out there. So I guess the one thing I'd like to share is I don't want any woman to be afraid to reach out to me or think that I'm going to try to hard sell something because I'm never
Mm,
going to do that. That's not how I am. I want to serve. I want to help. If you like my content, if you like some of the workouts I do, the things that I say about nutrition and healthy habits and sustainable shifts, reach out to me and let's chat and let's see if we can find a way to work together. I am an open book. And if you DM, like, this is who you get, I would love to chat.
yeah, no, I can attest to that. Amanda has been amazing. And honestly, again, like you know, when I'm reaching out to the influencers, the wellness guru and influencers out there, you never know what you can get. And sometimes you cannot really even get a feedback. But yeah, with Amanda, you've been so incredibly authentic and just real. And you're really passionate connecting with people on social media. So I think that's something that people can definitely expect. Yeah.
Thank you, Sherry. I loved every second of chatting with you. And, maybe there'll be a number three. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, I think it will be. Thank you so much, Amanda.
You're welcome. Thanks, Sherry. Hope you have a great day.